my newest friend, Danesca Baez here, and we met at a fabulous Bible study. But the reason I wanted to invite Danesca on is because she is an expert in the wealth department. And I think that we as women sometimes feel like we are lagging behind in our education on wealth and we kind of feel bad about even having wealth or thinking about money, and but then we also kind of stay worried about money. And
Mm,
so I just thought
mhm.
I would ask Danesca a whole bunch of questions on this topic so that she can educate us and help us get some new ideas for how to become wealthy. So thank you for coming on.
Well, thank you for having me, April. I really appreciate you, and I love that I'm here with you answering some questions for other women.
Okay, so let's just dive right on in. How did you get started on your wealth building journey?
Okay. So, first and foremost, I think my major thing that I do want to clarify is that wealth, it all comes from God. Like God is the source to all things. Like if you have him, you're wealthy. Forget about the dollar amount, forget about all of that because he gives you things that money can't buy, like peace and joy and rest, all these things that it doesn't matter what dollar amount you have. If you don't have God in your life as the source to it all, you don't have true wealth that comes from him. So, to answer your question, wealth, yeah, okay, I started with failure.
Oh, perfect.
I was
I hate failure.
terrible with finances, very, very bad with money and money management. I came from a very poor household and actually was taken away from my mom. I lived in a group home and I had to figure life out at a very young age and knew nothing about budgeting. So it wasn't until fast forward after my divorce that I said, I don't want to live like this anymore. I don't want to live paycheck to paycheck. I don't want to try to figure things out. And it was because God gave me this dream that I was going to lose my job. And when I had the dream that I was going to lose my job, at that time, I was going through a divorce, didn't have any savings, worked in a 9 to 5. I was a manager for healthcare, for the healthcare field. I managed 2 locations at the time and had nothing to show for it. Like, I was like, "If I was to lose my job today, what will happen to me and my children tomorrow?" And it was then that I decided to just start handling money differently, mostly out of fear, like, "Okay, if I do lose my job, what's the plan?" Like, what is the plan if I lose my job being a single mom with these 2 children? And that's where it started. A lot of mismanagement of money.
Oh my goodness. So where are you now?
Almost 40,000. It was
Oh my
39,000. So
gosh.
yeah, in 16 months. In 16
Oh my
months.
gosh.
I was very serious. I was not playing. I used my children as my accountability partners, and I was like,
Oh,
"Look, when mommy goes to the store, this is all mommy needs to get, okay? I'm accountable, because that's our problem, right? Like, we go and we say, "We're eating," and then we leave with our shopping cart full of things that we really don't need, right? So now, thank God, I am now my own business owner. I created a course on investments and stock. I'm completely debt free. So I'm also a financial coach. I became certified after I became debt free. And I
mm,
was like, you know what? I want to learn how to teach people how to get out of debt. And well, not only debt free, but like how to manage your finances well, how to be a good steward of your finances. So I became a certified financial coach. And then after I started helping people with that, I said, you know what? I want to learn about stock and investments, which there's not a lot of women that do it, and a lot of women are really scared of it. But good news, I have a community full of women that they have learned how to invest into the stock market. They took my course and they're doing really well. I just actually finished live trading before I started
oh my
this with
gosh.
you. And a lot of them are just starting off small. They're making $300 a day, $100 a day, $400 a day. Everybody today made $300 or more within the stock market today. Okay? Like, we this is what we're doing.
Oh my gosh.
That's where I am today. That's where I am today. I'm still single for now. I think the Lord is starting to shift that season in my life, but don't expect to be single for a very long time anymore. But yeah, I've been doing this now for 5 years, and I can't believe that I'm actually doing this, to be honest. Every day is like, wow, thank you, God, for the ability, for the knowledge, for the skill. And not for me, right? But like to help encourage other people along the way and show them how to do it too. So that's right.
Okay. It's amazing. Okay, so this is why I wanted to interview you because I just love these stories. In the Christian realm, in the church realm, sometimes we put people on a pedestal because they've just never had the opportunity to make mistakes.
Yeah.
And I'm like, but there's so many more lessons to learn from somebody who had $39,000 of debt and paid it off as a single mom. I mean,
Yeah.
and
Not
this is
having a
what
car payment to me was the biggest thing. I was like, I'm tired of paying the car payment. I'm just tired of
oh,
that.
yeah.
But it was so much more. There was so much freedom that I felt, like just not having to feel weighed down by so many bills, right? Like,
Oh, yeah. Yeah, I mean, it's huge. And then take what you would consider probably one of your greatest weaknesses and make it your living, teaching
oh yeah.
others. I am just like, people, ladies, that is the power of transformation.
Wow.
That is the extent
Mm,
that
mm.
God can change our before to our after. And so
Yes.
I think it's
Yes.
just so powerful.
Yeah.
So so nowadays, I'm hearing you help women
And
get
men.
educated. Okay, women and men get educated in and actually do trades themselves in the stock market.
Yes, ma'am. So I created a course.
Fancy.
Well, it took a lot of practice, and I invested a lot of money into stock courses. So first I learned options when I invested $10,000 into an option course and learned it really well. Practice, 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 practice. Still was scared, kind of scared to take my first trade. I was just doing it on the paper account. And then when I felt really confident, I was like, you know what? Just take your first trade. And in my first trade, I think I made like $356 on my first live trade. And I was like, oh my, and it was like less than 3 minutes. And I was like, what? So I was amazed by that. Like, I've never made $300 in 3 minutes before, period. I did have my own business at the time and I was making good money, but never saw money come in so quick. I was used to like working long days and then, making money like interactions, but not like that. And then I wanted to learn how to manage my risk better. So I took another course, spent another 15,000, but with this one, it was called Trade and Travel with Terry Igioma, and I soaked it all in. It was so good. I
Oh
love
my
learning.
gosh.
I'm
Yeah.
such a learner. I love to learn. I feel like we're gonna be learning until we die anyway, right?
Mhm.
So, let's be good students and good stewards of whatever God gives us the ability to learn, and went to her mastermind. And then I then lost everything. I lost
Gosh.
everything that I gained. Another thing, another failure. Oh, and I was gonna walk away from it all. I remember I had what I did start investing with was $25,000, and I was doing really well and grew my account, got up to winning an award with her program. I won a $10,000 in a day award with her
Mm.
program, grew my account, was doing really good, and then I didn't apply my risk tolerance skills that I learned, and one day I lost 10,000, the next day I lost 12,000. I was just losing thousands of dollars in one day. And I was like, God, this is not for me. I think I need to, pivot and figure out what else I'm going to be doing. And then the Lord spoke to me again. And I thank God for the way he speaks to me. I don't take it for granted. And it was right before I took her mastermind. I wasn't going to go to the mastermind. I was supposed to go pick up the 10K in a day award because she was giving people awards for doing great on their trade. And I wasn't going to go with them. It was in Texas, in Dallas, Texas. And I'm like, I'm not going to go because I'm not doing well right now. And why? So the Lord spoke to me that night. It was 2 days before the event. And he showed me walking to this building, and I had a golden key in my hand. And I'm walking with this golden key, and I'm like, but Lord, is it going to open the door that I need to walk through? And he just keeps telling me, keep walking. So I keep walking, and then the front door, somebody opens the front door for me. I'd even have to use the key for it. And I'm like, but Lord, I'm still asking him, is this going to open the door that I need to walk through? And he just keeps telling me, keep walking. Like, keep walking. And I entered into the staircase, and it was like just 2 flights of stairs before I got to the next door. But this time, the stairs are full of keys. And
Oh gosh.
now I'm really confused. And I'm like, am I supposed to look for the key? Now there was a difference. I had a golden key in my hand, but the stairs were full of silver keys. And I'm like, am I supposed to look for the keys and then, get the key to open the door? And he just tells me, keep walking. So I bypass all of those keys. And then when I walk through the doorway to go to the hallway, the door that I'm supposed to, that I thought I needed the key for, was wide open. It was wide open, and right through the door, it just looked like the sky. And that was it. That was the dream. I got up and I wrote the dream down, and I was so encouraged. And I said, Lord, I'm going to keep walking. I'm not going to give up. I'm going to keep walking. I have this golden key. I don't know what it means, but I believe you're telling me to keep walking and keep doing what I'm doing. So the next day I take another trade, and then another major loss. That day I lost
Mm.
$13,000. And I said, okay, well, maybe the golden key was I'm gonna go get a job. About I thought it was one thing, but it's not. So is not it. And literally that night, which was the night before I was supposed to get the award, that's when he was super specific with me in another dream. And in this dream, I had 2 trading accounts. And in one account, I'm trading, and I see that I made up to, it was $132,000. I'll never forget it, in one trade. And then in my other account, I'm trading, and I made $128,000. So in the first one, I'm like, okay, exit. Because once you exit into out of the trade and you sell it, that's when you realize your gains. That's when you have, because if you still in it, it can still fluctuate. So get out, make your money. And then in the other one, I made it $128,000. And I was just like, I woke up and I said, okay, you're telling me to stay here and keep doing what I'm doing. And I went and got my award. And then when I came back, that's when I started like really honing into what's going to be my strategy. How am I going to like really like hold on to the funds that I am making sure that I take care of the risk tolerance amount and exit when I need to exit. And that's when I like really created my own strategy and then started my course.
Oh my goodness.
Not too long after that, I went to Myron Golden's Offer Mastery Live, and I was still fluctuating up and down, and still trying to figure out what am I going to do for business. And I just remember him saying, what is your oil? There
Mm.
was a lady with the oil who had all this debt, and they were gonna come get her children, and the prophet Elijah told her, "What is it that you have in your house? So what is our talent? What is it that we can give to others to help serve other people and make their lives better?" And it was like, "Oh my God, I have this strategy. I have this strategy that I know that works." And at that time, I was still trading within the trading community, and I was helping people for free. And I saw how their lives were already changing, and I was like, "Oh my goodness, why didn't I think of this?" Like, so I was like, "Create your course. You have something that's gonna help you. You're already helping other people with it. You're already seeing results. Do what you have to do and learn." And that's what I did.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
Oh, I've a couple of things on that, and they go in opposite directions.
Okay. What
So
we
so first of all, that story that because
Okay.
I've heard Myron tell the same story, use the same illustration of what is your oil, and it's
Yeah.
for all of you listening, it's we're referring to Myron Golden,
Yeah.
Myrongolden. Look him up on YouTube. Enough said. That's
That's all
it's
you need.
amazing. Yeah, that's all you need. Okay, so there's that. But that story about the widow woman, in the time of the prophets Elijah, and her husband dies, and she's got 2 sons that are being taken into captivity, or not captivity, they're being taken sold for debt, really. And the prophet tells her, "Well, what do you have?" And she's like, "I just have this oil." And he's like, "Well, then borrow all you can." And
Vessels.
then there was this miracle reproduction of the oil into all these other vessels, and then when she ran out
Oh,
of vessels, she ran out of
boy,
oil.
I get where you're going. Yeah.
I know. Okay, that story, as you're telling it, I remember the way it landed on me, which was totally different.
Oh, really?
Yeah, in that, it was my oil was teaching and speaking, as in when I was in, I think, 5th or 6th grade, I was in a competition for Christian school. And I chose that passage to teach on for
Wow.
competition. Yeah. And so it was just like this full circle moment. And so then when you were telling about how, God used that, telling
It
that
was
story, oil is, my gifts and,
Mhm.
what I've learned about strategy and,
Wow.
trading and building wealth. It was like, it just reminded me, oh, I forgot that, yeah, mine is like over here, totally different. And here we are.
Exactly, exactly. It's
Having
different,
a
but the same.
moment because of the same story in the Bible.
Another thing, I know that this probably doesn't, but it's like the same thing as your and I have it on my table. I'm like, "Oh, and we have a few things in common." Anyway, so yes, where were you going from there
Oh,
with
and then the next thing was, okay, so let's just get a little bit more granular. Okay.
Yeah. Mhm.
If there's somebody listening to this and
Yeah.
they're like, this sounds intriguing because when I knew I was going to interview you, I bought a book and I was like, reading about, I got a book on day trading. Okay.
Okay. Okay,
Is,
okay.
is that what you do, by the way?
Well, I am a full-time day trader, yes.
Okay. So cool.
Mhm. Mhm.
Okay. Because as I'm reading the book, I realized that there's also something called swing trading and,
And I do both too, I do that as well, but
okay.
what I teach is day trading, and
Okay.
that's yes.
And what I'm familiar with is like mutual funds and annuities and, long term. So that's where I'm
Yeah.
coming from in the stock market is my knowledge of the stock market is based upon like,
Buying and
buy
holding.
and hold and yeah, knowing your risk tolerance and staying
Mhm.
in, you stay in for 20
Long term.
years, you just almost can't lose.
Right.
Can't gain a lot. You can I
That
mean, you'll gain. I mean, like, after that 20 years mark, you do have, a lot of compounding
yeah.
going into effect, so I would definitely be like take the short and the long,
W
tactics. But it's fascinating to me. And also just hearing you talking about your losses and me
mm,
knowing that I am so purity minded.
me
That's what I wanted to ask. Like what are the temperaments? Like what kind of woman would enjoy exploring this idea?
I think so I teach all ranges. So, for example, I have a therapist. She's a doctor. She's 75 years old.
Oh my gosh.
And she has been doing the mutual funds route for a long period of time. And then she came to me because she was part of the other trading community, the one that has the number one trading course, been back to back for 3 years. She was in her community and she was losing money out of her retirement. And she was investing all this money for so many years. And you know how they make promises, and by the time you retire, you're going to have such and such. And she's losing money, saving all this money after all these years. And so she's like, I want to learn how to day trade because obviously this route that I thought that I was going to be investing 20 years plus would compound and it's going down.
Yeah. Let's
And
hit pause for a second right there.
yes.
One of the things that people do not know, and this is, I really want to like help women understand the stock
Got
market.
got it.
Okay.
Got it. Okay.
Ladies, the stock market is an amazing place to educate yourself on
Mhm.
because there's like multiple opportunities to
Yes.
make money. And also, it's investing, as in there's a potential for gain and a potential for loss. And
Yes.
if you go in there and want to treat the stock market like it's your bank, like, I don't want any risk at all. Your financial advisor will say, okay. And he will not put you in anything risky and you will lose to inflation.
Oh
I
yeah.
mean, yeah,
Oh yeah.
you'll lose to inflation. And on top of that, you might not be aware of how much the expense, the fund expenses will eat out.
Oh yeah.
And so, like, I am not a financial advisor, but I know enough. I've educated myself enough to know, watch out for this, watch out for fund expenses, limit those down as low as you can.
Mhm.
And what financial advisors would say is super, the stock market is super risky. I'm like, well,
Mhm.
the S&P 500 is kind of like, if that goes down, our whole financial banking system has gone out anyway, is
Yeah.
my kind of like brain thought. So
Well,
it's like,
well, so and let me
life
help.
is risky.
Well, let me help you with this here. So this
Yeah,
is the
I'd love
difference.
it.
So this is the difference between when you're investing as like a 401k or within a mutual fund or a leap and hold. And so when you're doing that, you're buying and you're holding, right? And the stock market goes up and down, up and down, up and down, right? So one year you might be up, the next year you might be down. But overall, like as long as you are in a healthy stock, and that's another thing. Some people are investing in stocks that don't even make sense because they don't know how to read the chart and they don't know the information overall on the long haul on the stock, and they're just putting their money in places that they have no idea about. You show me a chart today, I can tell you if that's a healthy stock or if it's not a healthy stock just
Mm.
by going to the monthly, the yearly, all of the views so that I can make sure I can see how has it been trending for the lifelong term of the stock since it started, right? Here's the problem. When you're buying and holding, you're not looking to see when the market is starting to come down. And so you're just staying in it. What I teach is when to buy, right? And then when do you have to wait to sell it? And then also so that you can make the money off of being a buyer, but you can also be a seller in the market. Meaning
Mhm.
you don't have to just buy and hold. You can also be a seller by you could sell it high and buy it back low. And all of that money, when it's dropping, you still make money when the market comes down. Not a lot of people know how to do that because big investment companies, they don't teach people that. Why? Because they want you to keep their money with them at all times as a buyer. Same thing with banks. You have your money in a bank, they are trading your money. Just letting you, that's a whole other podcast, but just letting you
Yeah.
know they're trading your money. So it's not just learning how to buy and hold, it's also learning how to be a seller. you can sell and hold for until the end of the month, for 3 months, or for a year, depending on if it's at all-time highs and that stock is not gonna continue to go up and now it has to come down because there has to be a balance within the stock market, when to learn how to sell and still make money within the stock market, and not a lot of people know how to do that.
Okay. So, this is why I wanted to have you on here.
Mhm.
'Cause there's there's so much.
Mhm.
And also, there's so many life lessons,
Oh, yeah.
that are involved in it. I mean, it's just amazing. And so, number 1, the biggest, broadest principle I would say is women need to be educated about wealth and finances.
Yeah.
Secondly,
Mhm.
everybody starts out not knowing anything,
Oh, yeah.
you know?
You're nothing. You
Yeah.
you heard some of my background, no one taught me, I didn't grow up in the type of I had to learn and invest into myself so that I can get to where I am, but I didn't wanna just keep it here, I wanted to show people too, so
Okay. So, question, if somebody were going to like, they were like, "I'm interested. How do I get started?" What
Mhm.
would you recommend?
Invest in yourself by paying for a course that can teach you how to like, first, learn how to read a chart, right? Not only read a chart, but also find out what are the healthy stocks and what are not, and what's not a healthy stock. What's the
Mm,
difference between a healthy stock? And I'll give you some examples. A healthy stock is a stock that can increase yearly, year after year, at least 6%. And so let's say this year it grew, let's just say simple numbers, $1,000, right? So the next year it has to grow $1,000 plus the 6%, and then you do the math for that, right? It has to have at least 1,000,000 people trading it
mm.
per year, and it has to cost, like, per the dollar amount of the trade. So for it to move from one point to the next point, it needs to move at least $1 a day. And
Okay.
so if it doesn't move at least $1 a day, and sometimes there's a lot of stocks, I think AT&T was one of them that it would just move, and don't quote me on this because I haven't looked at AT&T in a long time. It would just move a few cents a day, right?
Or just, like, anchored in. Yeah.
And there's a lot of stocks. There's 3,000 stocks for you to choose from. And if it
Oh,
doesn't move
nice.
$1 a day, it's called a penny stock, and it's not worth you investing your money into it because it's hardly moving, and then you're losing money. Also, look up the news on the stock to know whether or not it's a healthy stock, because overall news will tell you whether or not the stock is going to be good for you to invest in or not. For example, Bath& and Body Works, before they went out of business, the stock was tumbling down for years, and people were still investing into it because they didn't know. They're like, "Oh, we believe it, we have 20 years or it's gonna go back up eventually." But they're not looking at the news, they're not looking at the charts, they're not seeing how it's been tumbling down year after year after year, and then boom, they go out of business and all of the money that you invested into that stock is gone.
Yeah.
You get to do nothing with it. So, those are some tips that I can give.
They're so good because you have a community that educates. Is it appropriate for newbies, or do they need to
Oh,
have some
yes.
love? Okay.
Yes. So, okay, I have very advanced traders. So there are some traders in my community that have been trading longer than me. Way longer than me. Actually, there's some traders in my community that they've been investing for 15 years plus. I don't have all of that experience, but they have seen how my understanding and my charting, and thank God for the wisdom that he's given me. to help explain it to somebody else, and that's what made them join my community.
Body.
But I have traders who just started with me because they trust me, and they literally started last year learning how to trade. Newbies didn't everything was Chinese to them. They were like,
Mm.
"What? What is a call? What is a put?" Which is, I do options. So I teach you how to so an option is 100 shares of whatever stock we are going to invest into. So 100 shares of, let's say, the S&P 500 is one option contract. You can choose to buy a call or buy a put or sell a call and sell a put. And I teach you all of the things. Now, a call is saying that the stock is going to go up, and a put is saying that the stock is going to go down. And so you can be a buyer or a seller. But a lot of people don't understand that unless they go through the courses, and then I'm teaching live and like showing them the charts and showing them, okay, here's the top. This is resistance. When it gets too high, then it has to come down. So I teach off of support and resistance. I teach them levels. I teach them entries. I teach them exits. And so you could be advanced or you could be a newbie. The advanced traders like it because of the specific strategy I use. But the newbies love it because I'm teaching you everything from the beginning. Like, what are the candlesticks? How do you know what direction it's going to go into? How do you know when it's going to go up? How do you know when it's going to come down? How do you know when to exit? How do you know when to enter? The trading platform, I even teach them how to use the platform because they're like, how do you buy it? How do you sell it? That
I
idea.
want that. Do we just hit the menu?
Yes. Well, they see dollar signs and they're so intrigued, but you have to teach everything from beginning to end for them to actually take their first trade. So I do all of that. I teach them candlesticks, formations, entries, exits, how to use the platform. And then at the end of it all, because I give homework, I don't play. I need to know that you're understanding what I'm giving you. And I also give exams. And then at the end of the whole course, I do a live trade with you.
Oh, neat.
Yeah. Just
That
to
is
make sure,
super
like,
cool.
you got this. Like, do you really have this? Let's do a live trade together. And let's
Oh my goodness. That is
yeah.
so beautiful. I can tell that you have a gift for simplifying it because I know the terms options, call, and put.
Yes, yes.
And I was like, but they're all jumbled. And then you just like, in 1 minute,
Like,
just like, it's like, why couldn't somebody explained it that way? I mean,
exactly.
I've probably read, 2 or 3 books on investing, and it's just like, nah, it's not clicking. There's a lot of
Like,
words. And so,
yeah.
okay. Oh, I had another question about that.
Like, what?
Oh, yeah. So if somebody is serious about furthering their education in this direction,
Yes.
what's the time commitment that they're looking at, like either on a daily basis or a weekly basis to
Well, when I teach live, I
Mhm.
teach 3 days out of the week, and 1 hour a day. So, it would be I do Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday from 8:30 to 9:30. I do it late at night so people could be done with whatever they need to do because I want your undivided attention,
Oh, yeah, that's really important.
especially if we're
Mhm.
talking about your money and how to manage the risk and what's your risk tolerance and how do you enter all so
Yeah, you don't wanna be missing, like, something important, because
exactly. And that's if you want to learn with me live. I also have a digital course
oh,
where
neat.
you can take it on your own time. It's still the same amount of week, but you don't have to do it with me live. And then I offer coaching calls with the digital course where
Mm.
it's like, oh, I can't make the 8:30, but I can purchase the course, take it on my own time, and then schedule a coaching call with you for whenever they're available.
What kind of mindset would somebody need to come into this to be successful? Like, I'm assuming, like, you
Well,
don't
not
want
really.
you to, like,
I have all different types of
get
mind.
rich quick, kinda like, you
Well,
know
I have, like, the very aggressive traders that they like to make thousands in a day, and I have the very conservative that they're like, I just wanna make $50 today. I'm okay with that. There's no way I'm gonna put in too much risk. So, it doesn't really
That's
matter. I
fascinating.
love the different types of personalities that I trade with because it also helps me grow, right? Like, I'm risky. Risky. But I love the consistency of the conservative traders. They're in and out. I made $50. I made it really fast, and you don't have to stay in your trade too long. For you to make thousands, sometimes you have to stay in longer, and you have to go in more aggressive. And the real conservative ones are like, "I only
And
put
you
this."
have to, like, not break out in hives. I mean, like
Exactly. They're so much safer, they're so much calmer, they're not so intense, but they still make their money. So, it doesn't matter what kind of mindset you have. I have the aggressive ones, I have the ones that are scared, I have the ones that still shake through it.
oh my god.
So, especially when we do live trades together, like, because now I offer live trades within the community, and I have the ones that are shaky, and I have the ones that are calm, and, they all have different mindsets, so you don't have to have a specific type of mindset.
It's so fascinating. How does somebody find out more information about you and your program?
So I'm everywhere. I'm on Instagram, so it'll be, Danesca, my name, Danesca_7. And my Shopify link is on there, so they could click on it. They could send me a DM, and then I would send over email. I'm on YouTube, same name, Danesca Baez. I'm on TikTok, same name, Danesca Baez.
Nice.
Everything is always the same name. So TikTok, Instagram, YouTube, Facebook. And then once they contact me, I have an admin team, thank the Lord, who will send them more information on the trading course if they're interested
Oh,
in
that's
it.
fabulous. Okay,
Well,
and I also wanted to ask, how in the world
mhm.
did you go from Get Out of Debt with Dave Ramsey
Oh, okay.
to teaching others how to yeah.
Okay, so Dave Ramsey also teaches once you're out of debt, you want to start looking into investing. And I had a 401k when I was in my company, but then I lost my job. And then I was like, I want to learn how to become an entrepreneur. So I started my own business and it had nothing to do with trading. It was more financial coaching, like showing people how to get out of debt and be like, not only showing them how to get out of debt, but how to manage your finances well. Because some people, they own huge businesses and they were like, we need to have business debt and,
Mhm.
depreciation and all of those things. So I was like, "Okay, let's just show you how to reduce expenses and how to manage your finances well so you can stretch your money in the long haul and then go on vacation. You're working so hard, you don't even know how to have money on the side so you can do something with it, right? How to enjoy your money."
Yes. That is my
So
pet peeve is when people start businesses and they think, "Well, if it's a business expense, it's fine." And it's like, that is not how the world works. It's not like the IRS is paying you for every business expense, they're reimbursing. No, no, no.
no.
There's still an investing budget.
Exactly, and a savings and a dream budget, like, I create all types of things when I'm
Yeah.
helping people with their like, what is it that you wanna do? What is your dream? Let's create something for that as well, right?
Yeah.
So, then from there, I my business so, not the financial coaching, I started a logistics company, and
Oh,
that business it skyrocketed, like, it blew up really fast, and I was making so much money. I made, like, more than 20,000, sometimes 30,000 in a month.
oh my goodness.
I loved it. But and so I started hiring people so they could do the back end work, and I could just be in contact with the clients, and they do all the paperwork, all the things. And then that business started going, and I was like, "What can I do to make just as much money in a smaller amount of time And I was like, I always wanted to learn how to I was already studying investments, but I never I think I was scared to, like, really take the step, and I was like, "I'm gonna put all my time and all of my energy into learning how to truly trade into the stock market." And that's how I pivoted from the logistics. I was still helping people financially get out of debt. I had 7 clients in that, but
Mhm.
the majority of the money that I was making was in the logistics company. And then that when that started going down was when I was like, I went to the offer mastery and heard that and then started learning how to make offers and like, really serving people, which I was already doing, but I was like, "I wanna learn how to invest into stocks," and that's how I started that.
Oh my goodness. It's just fascinating to me. I've always had this I've had this belief for a long time that the desires of our heart and God's will for us are aligned,
Mhm.
when we kinda clear up all the expectations and all the doubts and sometimes the belief that, God's gonna call us to do something that we don't love to do, and all
Right.
those
Right.
thoughts. I just I think that there's when we're following our interest, a lot
Mm.
of times we're on this intersecting trajectory with
Mhm.
God's will,
Mhm.
and I think that he uses our fascination with whatever it is
Yes. And you know
to
what?
get
I
us in there, and it can be so fast. I mean, because when you're so fascinated with it, the education you just absorb it like a
absorb it.
sponge. Yeah.
Mhm. Mhm. So, I used to be a nurse in the healthcare field, and I was really good at reading the EKGs.
Oh my gosh.
I was really good at reading EKGs, and I think that's why I could understand the stock market. I don't understand how I really get it, to be honest, and how to catch on so quick. And now I'm at the point where I'm helping other people. Like I to me is like ridiculous. But I would say that I enjoy this so much more than the logistics. Because
Mm,
logistics, yes, I was serving other companies, helping them land contracts with major but me, like, really helping transform people's lives, I don't think I just that just does it every time for me. It just does it. For me to hear another single mom saying, "I was going through a divorce, and this man left me with nothing, and now I'm learning how to make at least $300 in a day."
oh
I
my
didn't think this would be
gosh.
I don't even think that would be possible. Like that just to hear their testimonies, and a lot of them go through so much distress, and now they're like, "I can't believe I learned this skill," and they are crying giving their testimonies, to me means so much more than anything else. There's
Okay.
nothing that can replace that that feeling. Except for your
So
relationship with God.
yes. Yeah. So so to just wrap it up, I just wanna say to anybody who's listening to this,
Yes.
faith sometimes feels like fear.
Yeah.
They're opposite. Faith and fear are very, very opposite in the way that they act. Because fear has you freezing, fighting, fleeing, all those things. But faith is like when you were recounting that dream you had, it's like
Walking, but
it doesn't feel great,
yeah.
but it's kind of fearful forward motion. And
Yes.
yeah. And so if there's any part of you that as you're listening to this, you're feeling drawn to learn more, I really encourage you to look up Danesca. And she obviously has a gift for teaching and for breaking down complex concepts. And also, it sounds to me like you take care of your community very, very well. And I wouldn't be able to say that about everybody. So I think that's a beautiful thing. And also, if this is not floating your boat, that's fine. I think it's fascinating. But find what fascinates you. Like, listen to the passion that Danesca has about her calling, about what God has called her to, how to help help other people and
Mhm.
find what that is for you. Find the topic. Try different things until you find something that you can just go all in on and absorb like a sponge and then
Yes.
share your wisdom with somebody else. So,
Yes.
Danesca, any last words?
I always like to remind people you don't need a lot of money to start. Some people started with $300, but always remember, like, no matter how far you go, what truly makes you wealthy is having a true relationship with God.
Mm,
He's he's the source to all things. It doesn't matter how much money you make. If you don't have peace and you don't have joy, it's not true abundance. It's not true
uh-huh.
abundance. What makes you wealthy is truly having a God that gives you all the things that you desire that money can't buy. So, that's what I would love to leave people with.
It's so good. It just can't be better said than that.
Thank you so much, April, for
Oh,
having me.
it's so much fun. All right. I'm going to say goodbye to everybody, and then I'm going to chat with Danesca some more.
All right.
Bye-bye, y'all.